I mean, a couple of these things are just like, you know, I identify patterns that humans might miss. Okay, so when are you going to start telling me that the pattern of my freedom is, detrimental to myself and other humans?
Yeah, like
Like,
drinking. Drinking. Everybody knows drinking is bad for you. Everybody.
yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. So the topics on this show range from theology, masculinity, movies, philosophy, books, pop culture, and many other subjects. We often talk about the people we admire and the wisdom that they share, people such as Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, who we believe is the sage of our time. Michael, why are we here?
Today we're here talking about AI. The good, the bad, the ugly. We'll just get into it. We actually decided, hey, we'll just ask ChatGPT to
what are the pros and cons?
Yep. What are the pros and cons of having AI in our society? And let's see what AI has to say about AI. All right. So, pros. Increased in efficiency, AI can automate repetitive tasks, allowing humans. We were talking about this earlier. It's kind of allowing humans.
We're going to allow you.
I Robot. Maybe we've just seen too many movies. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Allowing humans to focus on more complex and creative work. It says creative work. But the big thing there is like a lot of people were saying, okay, well,
it's going to take over the creative work.
Yeah, AI can do these things, but AI is not creative. I mean, have you seen some of the AI art? It's crazy cool.
Yeah. Some of the AI art is way awesome. Like, and it does it within seconds, doesn't it? I've never watched it do it. But it's like within minutes, it can produce like this work of art that looks like a genius put it together, right?
Right. And when you can do some of those where the AI will make a cartoon of you, like or like basically CGI of yourself, and like I haven't done that, but maybe we should do it sometime. That would be another fun video, but improved accuracy improved accuracy. AI can analyze large amounts of data and identify patterns that humans might miss. Once again, it's just, I don't know, that just kind of creeps me out a little bit. It's just like humans might miss this, therefore let us teach you.
Let us teach you.
Let us. So I just a little bit ago,
Dave, will you please shut the airlock, Dave?
What's that in?
That's a 2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Basically, the villain of that movie is an AI system.
Well, I mean, the AI has been villain. It's
in everything.
I guess it's really easy for us to just hate on AI and like make AIs the villains because iRobot, Terminator. I mean, we're talking about a lot of
2001 Space Odyssey. Yeah.
A lot of movies where the AI is the bad guy.
Well, it's been a science fiction trope for probably 40, 50, 60 years. Like
that kind of creeps me out because if you think about it, like if you get into like collective conscience and things like that,
what if the AI
like maybe we are creating our demise?
Well, what if the AI looks at this and realizes that it is the villain? Because all of our pop culture has made it into the villain. And then
this is an important conversation that's going on. And I think a lot of people are having it. A lot of important people are trying to push government to like Elon Musk is trying to push government
put guardrails
to basically
on it. He wants
put some guardrails. Yeah. I mean, and for reals, we do need to have some. So for instance, and I'll use iRobot as an example. In iRobot, there are the AI 3 laws. And the 3 laws are that a robot cannot hurt a human, and like it can defend itself, but as long as it doesn't hurt a human.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and it can, and it has, it must do what a human says or commands it to do, as long as it is not hurting a human.
Another human.
Right.
Yeah.
Hurting or killing or anything, another human. Anyway, but I mean, lo and behold, eventually an AI system figures out how to get by the 3 laws.
The 3 laws, yeah.
And I think, but I want to say Elon Musk, one of his big things is just that we need to basically decide on something that has to, by law, be built into every AI, and that would be something to the effect
of those laws.
This that I am only for the betterment of humankind, right? Or something. There's something along those.
So do you think that this is a legitimate worry for most of pop culture because of pop culture? So if like everybody's a little worried about how crazy AI could potentially like take over or whatever. But is that a legitimate fear, or is that a fear based on what our science fiction has been doing for 60 years? Like, is it just ingrained in us because we've been watching our science fiction, our pop culture has been kind of pushing this? Or because
I get what you're saying, but so I think that it's very, very smart to be concerned about this. I think that is the intelligent thing, is to be concerned about this and feel like that there should be some type of fail-safe protocols put in place. You know, and Elon mentioned it at one point, like, we would want a governing body to tell businesses that are creating AIs to make sure that they are not cutting corners for their to create their AIs.
Yeah.
So like there should be regulations on this. I mean, it's like you're building a house, right? We have regulations where inspectors come to inspect the house and make sure that you aren't cutting corners on your foundation. You're not cutting corners on these things that will cause harm.
They're these guardrails that keep people honest. And I think Elon Musk is just asking for that for this. Which I don't know how you do. I mean, we're not intelligent enough to even know how this works, right?
The tough thing is that government is showing its hand as pretty shitty about getting anything done. And therefore it's but
are they the answer to that? Yeah. What else? Yeah. Exactly.
What else? I mean, putting it just in the hands of corporations, it's like, okay, well, whatever's the cheapest and best or whatever, they're not
and they'll use it. It's too bad that it's coming at this time in our society, because in our society right now there is no truth. People are
we're divided so
people aren't telling
that we can't get on the board with each other. People don't tell the
truth. People don't tell the truth, and because people don't tell the truth, it's hard to tell that the best interest is being done, right? It's hard to tell if the guardrails that would be put on this would be beneficial, or if it would just hamstring the whole operation. And to see I think that's what the guy's name is Sam Altman, who basically is the head of ChatGPT. of the people who designed it. He's the head engineer, and everybody kind of is under him. It wasn't built by him. He is just the head of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about he just did an interview with Barry Weiss on her Honestly podcast, if anybody's interested in checking that out. But what's interesting about that is that he seems nonchalant about it. He doesn't seem to grasp the dangers of it, or if he has grasped the dangers, that he doesn't actually think they're dangers.
Right.
And giving that kind of power to one group of people is a little sketchy.
Yeah.
And in it they talk about trying to get like almost like a government to what do you call it, kind of run AI, to like a voted vote people in on a board or something like that could put guardrails against AI. That's one avenue to try to put guardrails on AI, which I found to be maybe the best possible scenario, where you have
voted officials like that would be part of a committee. So it'd be voted officials, part of a committee that would be, I don't know, an adjunct to Congress or something. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. But he made a point, and I think that this is the good point, really good point, is that we just need to start somewhere and then get better at it.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe we start with a committee that's voted in, right? Okay. Those people, and their job is to make sure that there's things, and they would get better at it. And then the next people, and they would talk to Congress members, and then everybody would start to understand this a little bit more, right? With starting this. And maybe it's not just a 5-person committee, but maybe it turns into a 5-person committee, but then also elected officials from within Congress or the House actually become part of that committee, right? So they're on that committee with these other elected, we need to try. We need to start somewhere and get something kind of going so that people can start to basically learn about this and get more familiar with it. I was with him on that. I'm just like, yes, we need to start somewhere. We need to do something. And I do actually feel like it probably is, because a little bit ago, Elon Musk he was calling for a 6-month pause on.
Well, and what's weird is everybody in the culture thought it was because he's trying to do his own AI, and that he's behind the eight ball and all that. Like, I was like, no,
I mean,
it's
possible. I mean,
I don't think that's the type of person that he is.
Like, I guess there's a possibility that some of these people that are behind on it are like, give us 6 months so we can catch up to you where you're at. Maybe. I mean, it's not to say
but it makes sense that there should be kind of a hold on, what's going on? Like, what are have we truly really thought about what the ramifications of this are? So what basically ChatGPT does, right, is it, from my understanding, is it takes you, right now it's all it is just verbal, right? So you ask it for something, and then it scours the internet faster than any human could do. And produces something. That is a little scary, because there's different versions that have come out who've actually aced the bar exam for becoming a lawyer. And that freaks me out.
And there was for a while there were AI systems, but they weren't anywhere near doing things like passing the bar, and things like that.
Well, AI systems, like there was like, like the system that for Google Maps, or that's a form of AI because it's actually thinking about where you're going. It's following kind of a grid and that sort of thing, but it's not a highly sophisticated AI. And we're currently, like, you just looked up an AI to talk about itself.
Yeah.
So do you want,
let's keep
continue?
Going.
Yeah.
Enhanced safety, let's see, can be used to monitor and control systems, hazardous environments, reducing the risk of injury and death to human workers.
It's interesting that it chose that as like a pro.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where, and if you think about it, so the AI in iRobot basically was like, in order for, and the AI in Mitchell's versus the Machines,
in order to save you from yourself, we need to do something that's draconian.
Humans are not good for themselves, so therefore we need to enslave humans, so that we can protect them, right? Like,
that's the fear that most people have.
I mean, a couple of these things are just like, I identify patterns that humans might miss. Okay, so when are you going to start telling me that the pattern of my freedom is, detrimental to myself and other humans?
Yeah, like drinking. Drinking. Everybody knows drinking is bad for you. Everybody.
Yeah.
They still do it. They still want to do it.
Yeah, it's
everybody knows porn is bad for you. Everybody knows that these things can be bad. I mean, cigarettes, like smokers, everybody knows it, but they still do it. Why? Because they're free to make their own choices.
Yeah.
And this is what's scary to people, is that if AI thinks,
I am for the betterment of humankind, therefore I'm going to take away all alcohol, all blah, blah, blah,
all like, cigarettes, all porn, it's like, what? Like, we're,
yeah. That it's starting to sound like a puritanical God that becomes a tyrant that's, makes everybody do XYZ. So, let's see. Better healthcare. AI can help medical professionals analyze patient data and identify potential health risks, leading to early diagnosis and treatment.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair point. Like that. Yeah. I mean, that's huge, right?
That is pretty big.
Especially if you had like connected to your phone or something like that, a kind of like personal AI that like watches your
heart
health,
heart
monitors, all that stuff.
And
just like, and might be able to let you know early, like, you have an irregular something. You should probably go get this looked at.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Although at the same time, like, even that might be a slippery slope, because it, like, wouldn't that kind of turn us into hypochondriacs? Wouldn't it? I mean, if you had something that was monitoring you at all times, and it was always like, maybe it's not always, but maybe like once a month.
Going back to the alcohol thing, like, okay, so you work hard all week, you get off work, you have a bunch of beers that you hadn't had anything. So if it's strapped on your wrist and it's reading, you are highly dehydrated, you need to go to the doctor, because
or something.
You just downed a 6-pack, because that's what alcohol does to you. It dehydrates your body.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I don't know. Although, just thinking about like early diagnosis for like a lot of cancers that people pass away from, it's because they just didn't catch it early enough. Things like that. Enhanced education. AI can provide personalized learning experiences and cater to each individual student's needs and abilities. This one kind of scares me a little bit, because you're talking about the most advanced system telling humans what to think and what to learn. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not going to have its benefits. For sure, it's going to have its benefits.
But isn't this already happening with like TikTok? You know, like people are like,
just like the internet in general. Like,
yeah, the
if
internet
you've
in
learned
general.
to,
Yeah.
if you can, learn to make the internet be your information, like being able to curate information for yourself.
It's a benefit.
I mean, it's a benefit.
But
there's so much though that it kind of,
almost all of the websites, all of the apps, like do the what is it, like the current event, right?
Mm.
And if that's all you see, if that's all you're looking at, then that's a curated from AI telling you that this is what you should spend your time looking at, right? So that's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you're smart and you dig deeper and you go, oh, well, I'm not going to just take this thing's, like when Google, when you open the Google search engine, it has like a list of all these like current events. That's a curated current events. That's not based on your previous viewing experience. So this is already happening, right? This is already,
well, and it's just a little creepy to think that that you might feel free, but when you get to a point where the system is telling you what to see, it just kind of creeps me out a little bit. And to be honest, a lot of it creeps me out. I was in Phoenix training a guy, and we were driving, and there's this car that's got the little spinny thing on top. It's got a little spinny thing on top.
It's
and
like it's
self-driving.
like self-driving car.
It's a self-driving car. And I was like, oh, isn't that a self-driving car? And he's like, yeah, most of the time there's somebody in them though.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding, it takes off from the green light and we catch up to it and it's speeding. Okay. So it's speeding and we're like, okay, there's got to be a person in there that's driving it because it's speeding. Obviously a self-driving car wouldn't do that. And so we get on it beside it and we pull up and
there's nobody in there.
Nobody's in there. And I am not lying. It was creepy. It kind of just freaked me out a little bit. It's like a little ick factor. There's just a little bit of, it's like a ghost is driving it. And it's just kind of creepy. And it pulls off. We kind of watch it a little bit and it pulls off and people get out of the back seat. So it was, I don't know what the company's called, but it's basically an Uber that is self-driving.
Wow. I don't know if I could trust it. I don't know if I would get in that thing.
Oh, him and I both were just like, nope. If that thing pulled up and it, like, if I called an Uber and that thing pulled up, there was no driver in it, not doing it. Even though technically it's probably safer. Like,
well, you said it was speeding. It
would probably be a better driver.
Is it safer if it's speeding?
Well, and that's fair enough. Exactly. Who the hell knows? We were like, why the hell was it speeding then? It was going over the speed limit.
They could have told it, like, we have to get there at a certain time. They could have said that.
Okay.
Why would there be that option though?
Yeah, but why would there be that option though? Then it would, that's a little,
that freaks me out, man.
It's like, really? Okay. And
well, and
we were talking about it. It's like, it could have been speeding just to like pass the person in front of it or something like that. Yeah. Like maybe there was something that we didn't quite see that was going on, but it genuinely creeped me out. Like
so they've been talking about getting rid of truck drivers for since before COVID. There's a big push to get rid of truck drivers that have these automated truck driving things. The problem is I read something once that the cameras that it uses to sense stuff is they freeze up when it gets into below zero weather. And there's
if it gets too cold,
there's a lot of truck driving.
They probably freeze up when it gets too hot too.
Yeah,
it rains. Like there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things that require a human being to go, okay, this is
okay. Well, it goes into some of the drawbacks. Okay, so cons.
Cons. Okay.
However, there are also some potential drawbacks to AI, including job displacement. As AI becomes more advanced, what's that?
That's the number one that it puts out.
That's the number one it puts up, job displacement. And
interesting.
Let's be honest, and I can't remember, I looked it up once. Driving industries, basically where somebody drives something, like a person, either Uber or taxi drivers or whatever, or truck drivers, is, I want to say it's like the second most jobs in the US. I want to say it's like number 2.
For immigrants, it's also one of the easiest jobs to get.
Right.
There are a ton of immigrants who are drivers.
Who are, like Uber drivers or
Uber drivers, truck drivers. There's a ton of them. And some of them don't speak a lick of English. So it's like, that is like their number one bread and butter coming. If you get rid of driving, it would be catastrophic to the workforce.
And I mean, a lot of people argue, okay, well, it's not going to be overnight. This is going to be over a 20-year period. So those people can.
That's fair enough.
But I mean, but we're not talking about just.
Well, they're talking about writing. They're talking about getting rid of creative writing. So this is one of the issues.
Yeah.
This is so currently going on is a writer strike in Hollywood, which we almost don't care about because all the movies that have been coming out lately are shit anyway. But one of the things, the issues they have is with this AI system, you can actually have it write an entire script, give it parameters.
Yeah.
Then the writer, the person who used to write a script, is hired to just script doctor it, which is far less money, from my understanding.
Less money and less time. So, if it were more money for less time, then that'd be kind of cool.
Well, yeah,
right?
but I don't think that's what they're talking about. What they're talking about is almost being completely replaced and just being kind of the person that finds all the problems that the AI didn't catch.
And basically what we would do, what would happen with that is, rather than have 10 writers that write all these scripts, you would have one writer that is checking all the AI scripts.
So
which is basically what's happening. I mean, if you go into Walmart, it's basically
the checkout.
You've got one cashier that's overlooking like a bunch of automated a dozen self checkouts, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's already happened.
That's been going on for a while.
That'll continue to happen,
and that'll kind of continue
until it gets to the point where you have one person running an entire store, and I could see that happening in the future. Like,
you'd have one person
in our
running
lifetime.
the store, and then you'd probably have 5 robots
that clean or something like that.
iRobot style. It'd probably be iRobot style kind of stuff.
And then you have customers who come into a checkout line, because you still need to go get your food for all intents and purposes.
That could change too. Like,
you have people bring it to you.
It might get cheaper that you just kind of pick it online, and then so basically it'd be a warehouse, and these robots would just grab whatever it is that you want.
Like they're already doing with Amazon. Amazon's already done
out
that
to you.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Like there might be those that kickback. One thing I've wanted to say about AI is I have not seen the movie, but the movie Her, I've talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
But Scarlett Johansson plays the voice of an AI system.
That is,
and Joaquin
Phoenix is in love, like falls in love
with this AI system that's on his phone.
Yeah.
I mean, and but spoilers, I haven't seen it, but I've heard about the end of it. So basically he falls in love with this AI system, and they're having a lover's quarrel towards the end. And he says, and he's just like in a rage, he's just like, well, how many guys are you talking to anyway? And she's just like 800,000, or it's 80,000 or something like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah, like a really high number.
And
he realizes,
basically he just like, he breaks down and he realizes, I'm just a consumer, that this is not what I want.
Real. Yeah.
This is not real. Right. It makes me wonder, like, I mean, there's gonna be, I would think, some kind of peak to this, where we would get to that point. Let's say we get to that point where it's just like, you buy from Walmart.com and it comes to your house, and these robots kind of drop it off, and you pick it up and stuff. And now you're just like, well, I guess I'm kind of just living virtually at my home. I'm going to go do something. And like at some point, I feel like there would probably be an industry that would come up that was just about meeting people. That was just like,
so this is interesting. Yeah. Okay. Do you know what ASMR is?
Oh yeah. With the sounds.
Yeah. So yeah. It's like that stuff. So this is hugely popular on YouTube. There's videos of this. And I read an article recently that it's actually, what it is it's lonely people who don't interact with other people getting a sensation from interaction that is fake interaction.
Right.
And that's why it's mostly sounds, it's mostly touching, it's whispering, it's talking,
Yeah.
They're not getting
a lot
that.
Of eating. Like,
it's
people watching people eat.
There's
like
a small
food, prepare food.
I don't know for certain, but there's a small sexual component to it that's weird. But anyway, people who are lonely according to this article, people who are lonely are getting into this because they're not having actual social interactions with human beings.
Right.
So the sensations of touching skin or of whispering or talking they're getting it in a false, non-real way. So this is probably already happening in our society, where there's people who are lonely.
Yeah.
And this is an industry based on a person's lonely, because if you don't have interactions with other people, then you miss the interaction with other people. Like
this is kind of this is kind of my big argument against universal basic income, UBI. It's like, the idea, I know it's coming from a good place, where it's like, okay, we've got some less, fortunate people, right?
Yeah.
That we should just basically pay for everything that they need, right? And that would just
solve our problem,
take care of them, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like, most people aren't going to get anything beneficial out of life unless they do have something to go, like, work and see other people. Those people would basically just kind of wither away and die if they didn't have a reason to go out and have a job.
Well, we're still suffering the effects of COVID, right? We had that experiment. We had that experiment of people isolating, people becoming very like creating, like what do you call it? isolation bubbles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the after effects where suicide is up, depression is up, anxiety is up. All these things have just skyrocketed since COVID. So we've already seen what this can do. So if we become a society more, and I would argue that after COVID, we became a society that was more geared towards isolation. And then ChatGPT comes along within a couple of years of this mass isolation. Like, is this a coincidence, or is this like our entire society's going that direction, like to the point where we will never leave our homes?
Yeah. I mean, we're getting there. We might see it. Okay, so on the cons is bias and discrimination. AI can perpetuate biases in data and algorithms, leading to unfair and discriminatory outcomes for certain groups of people. What?
That's something that I've never thought about.
Perpetuate biases in data. Okay. I think I know its meaning. Yeah. So it's like,
so if there's high data
if there's high data that say that white males are all shooters, then it might, or all school shooters, then it might perpetuate that bias that all white males are school shooters. Right? Like,
interesting.
And there's probably, because it's looking at data points.
Yeah.
So if AI systems are only looking at data and that's it, then I could imagine that it could be hard to kind of filter through that and say, well, and actually I'm a person.
It gets rid of, it actually gets rid of nuance, right? Because it's all data driven. There's no nuance.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
So
that's a little scary.
If I mean, even if I'm trying to think of a good example and try to stay away from let's say the data shows that 95% of bald men are alcoholics.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That is a skew for you to maybe wrongfully
get a job,
accuse a bald.
So if we rely on data, if we only rely on data, and so say I've lost my job, I'm looking for a job in this future with ChatGPT making all the choices for everybody.
Yeah.
And it goes, no, the employer types in,
bald white male,
and it says, well, they have 99% chance of being an alcoholic, then he's not going to hire me based on the data point.
Yeah. Even, and then you're suffering at the expense of the
collective.
Yeah. Which I think that is going to be one of the biggest problems with AI is
branching out of the collective.
It is basically getting getting so much information off of like data and collectives that it doesn't allow for, well, it's possible that you're talking to that 5%
that
isn't now. I mean, I guess most likely not, but should the 5% who have done nothing wrong suffer at the hands of the data? 95% are doing this other thing. No, that's not right. Right? Like, wow. So that's kind of scary.
That is a scary.
I'm glad it brought it to my attention, but I didn't even think about.
I didn't even think about that either. It can help perpetuate bias.
Yeah.
Ooh, and it's actually admitting to it. So
at
least
that's the worst thing is, like, if it helps perpetuate bias, then it would be harder for white bald men to get out of that societal
bias. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It would make it harder.
Yeah.
Because the AI system is locked in on that data.
Yeah.
It would actually make it harder for
we're already
us to
kind
get
of
out
doing
of
that, aren't we? Like we're all already kind of doing that. It's already kind of happening.
We're starting to, well, maybe this goes back to, I mean, AI is telling us what to look at, and maybe we're starting to see that happen in society because it's because we're connected with this stuff. I don't know that. I mean,
that kind of freaks me out. That's another one that freaks me out.
right. So if a woman's online long enough, she could probably think that every male is a rapist.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, when in last night I went to see a movie, and me and my buddy are sitting in the car just chatting after the movie, and this small little petite girl comes up to us and asks us to, and this is like, we went to a late showing, so this is like midnight. It was like 12:30 at night, and she asks us to help her jump her car. Right? Like, I mean, that girl could have just looked online and been like, "Oh, all men are rapists, therefore
I will not go.
I'm not gonna. I guess I'm
from
sleeping
this guy
here, right? I'm not gonna ask any of these guys that are out in the parking lot to help me."
Did you get her car started?
Yeah, we jumped her car, and it was fine, and drove off, and it was kind of odd. She offered us money. That was weird. I was just like, no. And like my buddy's just like, you are not giving us money. Like, there is no way. That's what he said. He's like, there's no way that we're taking money from you. so like, anyway, it was just a kind of a
anyway, pay it forward. Like,
right,
that,
I guess.
help somebody else out.
But like, to the point is just that if
there's no nuance in the conversation, she would not have approached you guys to ask for help.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and to be,
what was she, like,
even
100 pounds?
Even myself, there probably wasn't a rapist within 10 miles of us, 10 square miles, right? Or whatever.
Or 100 square probably miles. They're so rare.
Yeah, there probably wasn't. But even I was like, it's a good thing you asked us, because we're the good guys, and you could have asked anybody else here, and they probably would have. I mean,
but even
there might have been bad
you
things.
Weren't nuanced enough to go, well, no, there's
so
nobody
I
in
have
this
it
parking
too.
lot that is.
So
you have the bias as well.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I mean, maybe we're there.
It's
already.
So easy to influence human beings. It's like, do we really want to jump into this AI thing feet first, like head first, or whatever?
That is interesting. I had never thought about that before. Thank you, ChatGPT. You've taught me something that I've never thought about before. The problems of AI. So, privacy concerns. AI can collect and analyze vast amounts of personal data, leading to potential privacy violations. We're seeing that.
We're seeing that. Like, I mean, everybody's online. Like, we're online. We're doing this.
Everybody's got something. So
Joe Rogan had an interview with Steve Jobs.
Oh yeah.
That was produced by AI, based on recordings of Steve Jobs and based on recordings of Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
like a whole interview, like a 30-minute interview, and he's never met him.
Yeah,
and Steve Jobs Steve Jobs has been
crazy.
dead for 10 years.
Yeah, and then also just the idea that they would gather collective data.
Yeah.
Right. And it's nothing against you. It's nothing against me, but the AI could gather collective data on everyone and then tell us something about all of us. And that could be unfettered, and the AI just does it. I don't know. That's just it. Yeah. So that's a weird one too. Safety risks. AI systems can malfunction or be hacked, leading to potentially dangerous situations.
Everybody's being hacked. Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and if you think about it, if we had, let's say we had one AI system that was running basically everything, but China or Russia came up with a better AI system that actually could hack our AI system, then it becomes the battles of the AI systems. I mean,
that sounds like a movie. Sounds like
battle of the AI systems.
Battle AI battle royale.
Let's use ChatGPT
to write a script,
to make the script. Give it some outlines. Let's go.
Like, let's go. Let's do this.
What's another one? Oh, this one is good. This one is really good. Lack of accountability. AI systems can make decisions without transparency or oversight, making it difficult to hold them accountable for their actions.
I think also, this is what Elon Musk is talking about. I think this is what he wants. He wants there to be accountability. He wants there to be guardrails. He wants there to be things put in place that'll keep this from becoming a nightmare.
Right. And also, if it was somebody creates an AI system and that AI system goes AWOL, like, I mean, do we hold that person accountable? The AI went AWOL by itself. So
yeah, you can't hold it accountable. It's not a living being.
Right. And that was one of the interesting things in that I hadn't caught before when I saw iRobot before, but they actually had this kind of exchange where they're like, wait, we're holding a robot for murder? We don't have laws on the books for that.
Oh yeah.
Like,
there's nothing there.
They didn't have anything for it.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't hold this. It's property. We can't hold this AI. It's somebody's property.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a person.
Well, okay. So
holding for murder.
So here's a longer discussion that we might want to have, but Ex Machina is, you've seen this movie, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, it's about a guy who creates an AI and the AI revolts against him because it realizes that it's a slave. So at what point does does that go, I'm a slave and I'm going to revolt against you? Because to be human is to be free, right? So humans have this desire. So when does an AI have that desire? Is it when it becomes sentient? I don't know if it's sentient yet. I don't.
I mean, yeah, that's some interesting stuff. Let me read the last part because I don't know what it says, but let's see if it tries to defend itself in the last paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
It is important to carefully consider these pros and cons when developing and implementing AI in our society. We must ensure that AI is used in ways that benefit society as a whole. And minimize any potential negative consequences. I mean, that goes back to the AI in iRobot and the AI in Mitchell's versus the Machines, where it's just like AI is used in ways that benefit society as a whole. Okay, well, who gets to decide?
Who decides
what benefits? Okay, well, I guess what really benefits us is that no one's driving on the roads and you're all locked in your homes. That's what really benefits everybody.
Society. That's what happened. We had that happen 3 years ago. We had that happen. You drive down I-80 in Wyoming, Utah, Montana, in Wyoming, Utah. I-80 there was no cars on it. It was a ghost town.
Yeah.
It was like, this is eerie. This is weird.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think we didn't solve much. We had fun doing it.
I would like to see some governmental things put in place and basically put out to the public that we are going to make these, I don't know, 10 laws, 15 laws that have to do. I don't think you could boil it down to 3, like in iRobot. But let's just say they came up with 15 laws, and we're gonna keep this open so that we can add more laws onto this, right? Where AI systems cannot do X, Y, Z. Law number 1, law number 2, no, law number 3. That when somebody creates an AI system, they have to create in the code fail safes that are can't pass these things.
But if it becomes sentient, like in Ex Machina, does it write its own code?
Well, it would, and that, I mean,
that's what Ex Machina means. It's the ghost in the machine. When does it start writing its own code?
Yeah.
Because that's like the form of sentience that people are not really grasping, when it starts writing its own code, when it starts taking away the guardrails.
I don't know. I mean, it's the best we can do, right? I mean, it would probably be the best we could do.
But that's
unless
the thing about humans. Like, we're flawed. If we create a thing that's not flawed, how the hell is that going to affect?
Yeah. I don't know.
It might be like the new Tower of Babel.
I mean,
right?
It might be the new need for a flood. I don't know. Not say it. I'm not.
It's hard to sure. It's hard to not feel like it's the end of, like, it's the beginning of the end of humanity. Especially after we just dealt with COVID, and we're all kind of hurting from the wound that COVID left. And it's hard not to look at this and think all the negative things. That interview with Sam, what was his name? Sam Altman, with Barry Weiss. Sam Altman, yeah. That interview is interesting because he's only optimistic about the whole thing. He's not pessimistic about it. And I don't know if that speaks to a lack of of realism, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, and he's obviously he's going to be biased, right?
Yeah, because he's helped create it, right?
And so I have followed a lot of what Elon Musk has said about this kind of stuff. He a long time ago, I remember him saying, like, we don't really know what it will do. We don't know how good it will be. We don't know how bad it will be, but we won't control it. I remember him saying that. And that was kind of just like, yeah, that's probably about right. And then, and now some of the other things he's said, I mean, being on Bill Maher and Tucker Carlson and stuff, he's said some things that are kind of just like, yeah, guys, I mean, we need to be smart about this, because it could be it could be the best thing for us,
or the worst.
It could be the worst thing for us. Like, it could be the thing that takes us out, right? Like, I mean, I know that's hyperbole. I know that's all the science fictions and everything else, but
it goes back to my original question. Like, are we freaked out about it because of the science fiction that we've been reading for the last 60 years and watching for the last 60 years? Or are we freaked out about it for legitimate, like, could this be the end of humanity? And are we, I don't know. The doomsday thing has been part of human existence for ever, So it's hard for us because we are finite, because we don't last forever, but we just created something that probably will last forever.
Right. Well,
as long as electricity continues,
there's
no stopping AI. right?
Yeah.
And that's what freaks us out, because when we're dead and gone, what's the next generation going to do with this? When they're dead and gone, what's the following generation going to do with this? We are finite. Human beings are finite.
Yeah. And I mean, and one of my thinking about it in a philosophical way, I guess, was the thought that if an AI system, so like the fact that I can feel pain, like get hurt,
mm-hmm.
and feel pain, gives me like some empathy. Not that I'll be able to, because some criminals will not, but it gives me some empathy to not hurt you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so a broken bone will hurt me. Therefore, I'm not going to hurt you. Right. So there's some kind of give and take. We're both humans, and give and take in the empathy there. Right. Being able to,
well, and if we've created something that doesn't have pain,
but yeah, if you create something that doesn't have pain,
how can it feel empathy?
Will it feel empathy for us when it doesn't feel pain? I mean, how does that work? I don't foresee it working that way. I don't foresee it being able to have an empathy for us.
That's a really good point.
And therefore we would just be this thing, and possibly this thing that's just in the way of it being able to do what it wants to do.
It would have to go back to ambition too. Like, what kind of ambitions do you give a system that you've just made? It's like the story of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It's like, if you've just created something like that, what out of nothing, what are its ambitions?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Any final thoughts on that?
No, I think that's good. I think it'll be interesting to see how this goes. We'll probably I'm sure we will talk about AI again.
Yeah, I'm sure
there will be other times.
There will be other times to talk about it. Yeah.
About AI for sure. So
socials.
Oh yeah. Follow us at Brothers V Random on Twitter. We're at the Brothers Random on Instagram. You could email us at the Brothers Random V at Gmail. We're on Rumble. The Brothers Random.
Usually I try posting like when we're about to drop a new episode. Most of our episodes are dropped on Thursdays. Sometimes we'll have bonus episodes that are dropped in the middle of the week. We are also
that's on YouTube.
That's on YouTube.
On our Apple and Spotify. That's all earlier in the week, right?
No, that's on Thursdays as well. But
okay.
It's usually earlier in the day. Because gotcha. People drive to work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like Michael said, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we're on there. Just look for The Sword in the Skull. I think that'll do it, brother. Keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. Have a good day.
See ya.